Hello, all. I hope you guys had a happy 4th of July. I got to shoot some fireworks, and I was with some people that don't normally do fireworks, and for them, it's a very strange thing. They like watching them, but to do them is a whole nother experience. So I hope some of you can experience the lighting of the fireworks yourselves because it's a lot more enjoyable for me. And in some ways, I feel like it's the same thing. Like, there's some things we kind of stand off and enjoy them, and some of them we really enjoy them by participating in them. And, and one of those things I could say about the things I talk about here on the YouTube channel and engaging in a war against some of our culture problems that we have today. And I was talking about combating safe spaces today. There's a lot of people who've grown up in a culture that has not changed for a long time. We even see the same thing with Sodom and Gomorrah in the Bible. The people have become so entrenched with their own culture and their own beliefs that they're unwilling to change and walk with God in His righteousness and truth. So, one of those safe spaces I could say is LGBTQ and feminists. And I want some of you to join me in that war. And there's a spiritual aspect of that, right? Fighting that spiritual war and trying to save people from these safe spaces. It sounds kind of funny and stupid, doesn't it? But these safe spaces are more or less prisons where people choose to live their comfortable lives. They become kind of like these fat pigs who are unwilling to change, and they've been pampered and catered to for many years now, and some of them won't change. They're too hard-headed, they're too stiff-necked, and we see that throughout the whole Bible of people unwilling to change. And if we even talk about the Israelites, they were enslaved for 400 years by the Egyptians, and the Egyptians were not going to change their ways. And after 400 years, God enforced some justice on them through Moses. And even then, it was years and years that God was dealing with Egypt. And there's prophecies that talk about the judgment against Egypt. So God doesn't ever let corruption or wickedness to really ever go on, even if they're unbelievers. There's scriptures that talk about that God will judge the unbelievers or the sinners or the adulterers, all these different kinds of people. But that doesn't mean we Christians don't follow what God is doing with a certain nation. In fact, God informs the Israelites what's happening to the other nations, that his cup of wrath is not yet full. So his plan to execute his judgment has not yet come. So God does inform his servants of his plans, and we need to be weary of his plans and weary of the future that he has planned for us and other people. So those are just some things I hope that can give you some food for thought. But I also like to listen to other people. It's good for men to actually prepare for physical war. There's like a few channels I like to watch that talk about ways we can be prepared for a physical war. And there's a lot of people out there who kind of like shame those who do. I don't think there's anything wrong with men being ready for war, to prepare for physical war. I know quite a few veterans, quite a few men that have guns, and they're ready for war in case if it ever happens. Just like with the war in Ukraine and Russia, there's men there that are building drones and all this other stuff, and so it's not a crime for people to, as Christians, to be ready for war. And as I was talking about before, people get this very narrow-minded view when it comes to reading the New Testament. Yes, Jesus never participated in war, and in fact, none of his disciples did they? They all died as martyrs, but they were all called to a specific mission, right? Jesus was never married. He never had kids. Does that mean we have to follow Jesus in doing that? No, it doesn't. So that's the problem with the New Testament. People get tunnel vision and be like, we have to live exactly like Jesus did. And our calling isn't going to be exactly like Jesus. Not everybody's going to die on a physical cross. The way we die is going to be a little bit different for everyone, right? Someone may live to 100 and die of old age, essentially. That's how he or she will die on their cross. And some people will physically engage in wars like World War II, right? As veterans fighting to expand God's kingdom or his justice. So there's lots of different ways we can live a Christ-like life. It doesn't have to be like written verbatim in the Bible, like this person's got to do this, you know. So that's why I'm trying to expand and open people's minds up to doing things differently for God that they couldn't imagine before. And there's a lot more Christians getting involved in politics, which is good. And there's a lot of Christians who will fight against that like you cannot be involved in politics and be Christian at the same time. But there's nothing really scripturally based in that philosophy. I mean, it can be very good to be apolitical as a Christian and just talk about the scriptures. If you're led that way, I'm not condemning you for doing that. But if you condemn others who are politically motivated and Christian, I think you're kind of transgressing there a little bit against Christians who are, because there's nothing scripturally prohibiting that. I mean, yeah, you can debate with them if they're doing it in an honorable way. And I think that's where it mostly stems from. But that's partially because we all have our own biases, we all have our own prejudices, even I myself. So, how can we promote honor in today's culture? How can we challenge men to step up to the battle that we face today? I'm a millennial, and there's many wars that men have ignored. Put uh, they've kicked the can down the road, per se. They haven't engaged in these battles and just haven't really engaged in them. And that's because maybe it's time for us millennials to start stepping up to the challenge. Every generation has had to face its own wars and challenges. Instead of whining, complaining about them, we should be, I guess, excited to engage into a spiritual warfare and culture, or a battle, physical battle, even in some cases, because that's what we men are called to do. And one of those, or a few of those, I've mentioned on this channel that I'm engaging in, and I'm trying to reach other people to engage in this battle with me. But I've had some challenges. So with YouTube, for me to promote my channel, I have to get, what's it called, I have to be able to run political ads, and I need to get permission, which I think is a good thing, because you can just have random people or AI bots trying to promote stuff and they're not even real people. So I just submitted approval to run political ads. I guess I'm still learning the system myself, so I can help push this message out there or challenge this message to others. And there's a lot of things I got to navigate to help promote this channel. But yeah, and I also can't talk about some political figures in some ways until I get this approval. But so that's why I've kind of not said any names right now until I get the approval on YouTube. Anyway, and then I can at least get all the viewers I can on this video, and not be restricted. There's a lot of different kinds of restrictions, which is understandable when YouTube has to share these videos with everyone, and YouTube tries to give content, from my understanding, to people who want that type of content, and I want to try and reach those people that do. But also, just like with fireworks, I exposed some people to doing fireworks yourself instead of watching it. And some people just need a little bit of exposure to it and like, hey, this is actually kind of fun. I want to engage in doing like physical fireworks instead of watching it all the time from my back porch or whatever. So in the same way, like I'm trying to graft in people who've never been in this type of war or fighting for these causes to see if they would actually like to engage in them. and and I mean, you have to start out small, right? I can give them a few snappers, the little snappers that you do with fireworks. I'm going to start sharing little snappers for people to get engaged in, but I mean in politics, like fighting in politics, just little things like little discussions that we can talk about that aren't going to destroy their experience with engaging in politics or fighting current affairs that we are fighting today. And then we can work up to bigger issues like mortars. One of my favorite fireworks is doing mortars. I love doing them. There's a big poof, and then you just wait for the big explosion at the top, and it's beautiful, right? All these different fireworks have specific purposes, and I cherish all of them, even the smallest ones. In the same way, when we engage other people in discussions, we have to like the little discussions that we have with people that aren't so challenging, or controversial. So I hope I've explained some of these things in a way that can help people understand what I'm doing with this channel. All right, I hope you guys have a good day. I'm going to try and make 1 to 3 videos a week. We'll see how faithful I become at this. And so I've been watching YouTube videos on how to make YouTube videos and how the system works. And it works differently for everyone. I mean, I was watching somebody recently that they only make a few videos a month and then they take a break. So yeah, that doesn't mean someone has a mental illness or, they are sporadic. It's just how it works. They have other responsibilities, right? So I have spurts, I guess you could say, where I'm making 3 videos a week or multiple videos in a day. Sometimes there's just lots of things going on that we can talk about. And sometimes I just don't. It's kind of nice to take a break from YouTube and try to enjoy people's physical presence and live kind of like a normal life. So, yeah, I think that's it for today. Yeah, God bless and Godspeed to you all. Thank you.